The Babysitter Saw It Too. Leah was 17, quiet, and good with kids. Babysitting was her side gig, easy money, no drama. So when the Jensen family called her last minute on a Friday evening, she agreed without hesitation. It was a simple job: watch their son Max, age 6, for a few hours. They'd be out until midnight, maybe a little later. Dinner was already made. Max just needed a story and to be tucked in by 9. The house was nice, a little too quiet, but clean and cozy in that suburban kind of way. Max was shy at first, barely speaking, but eventually warmed up when she let him pick the bedtime story. He was asleep by 9:10. Easy. She made popcorn and settled into the couch with her phone, watching videos with one ear tuned to the baby monitor. That's when she heard it, a soft crack of static, followed by a sound she couldn't place. Not quite breathing. Not quite whispering. But not silence either. She glanced at the monitor. Max was asleep, blanket tucked to his chin, breathing slow. But in the corner of the monitor, something shifted. A shape, just outside the bedroom door. It was there and then gone, like the screen had glitched. She sat up, rewound the footage. Nothing. 10 minutes later, Max called her name, quietly, like he was afraid to be heard. She rushed up to check on him. He didn't look scared. Just, resigned. "There's someone upstairs," he whispered. "She watches me from the ceiling." Leah froze. She wanted to laugh, to chalk it up to a dream, but his eyes weren't playful. He wasn't imagining it. He was remembering it. "I think she likes it when people pretend she's not real," he added. That was when she remembered the last thing Max's mom had said before they left. "Oh, one more thing. Don't open the door for anyone after 10. She'd chuckled at the time, assuming it was just a joke. But now it was after midnight. The baby monitor was picking up something again. Low breathing, closer this time. Not coming from Max's room. From the hallway outside it. And that's when Max looked at her and said something she'll never forget. "That's not my mommy sleeping in the bedroom." Chapter 1, The Monitor Flickers. The Jensen house was quiet, too quiet. Leah sat cross-legged on the living room rug, scrolling through her phone, half watching some true crime show playing in the background. Max had gone to bed over an hour ago without a fuss. He was a strange kid, polite, soft-spoken, but with a weirdly calm way of saying unsettling things. Earlier, when Leah asked if he wanted the hallway light on, he'd replied, "No. It's easier for her to sleep if it's dark." She'd laughed awkwardly and turned off the light anyway. Now, just past 12:30 a.m., the house felt wrong. The baby monitor, propped up on the coffee table beside her, gave off a soft green glow. Max was still asleep, barely moving under his dinosaur blanket. Leah leaned in to get a better look, and that's when it flickered. The screen glitched. Just for a second. A split-second burst of static. But in that moment, something changed. The shape of the room on the screen looked wrong. Not just Max's room. The layout. The walls. The shadows. Something about it didn't match what she remembered. And just before the image cleared, she swore she saw movement, something crawling just beneath the bed. She blinked and leaned closer. Max was fine. Still sleeping. But her heart was racing now. Probably just a bad signal, she told herself. Old house. Interference. She reached for her phone to distract herself, and froze. There was a new notification. From the Monitor app. Motion detected, bedroom, 12:33 a.m. Live feed active. Her fingers hovered over the screen. She tapped the notification. The app opened. The feed played. And she watched as something stood up, in Max's room. Not him. Not an adult either. It was tall, yes, but wrong. Its body seemed stretched, like a person caught mid-yawn and never finished. The figure moved slowly, swaying slightly, like it was breathing, or maybe waiting. It was standing next to Max's bed. But in the monitor, Max didn't move. He didn't stir. He just kept sleeping while the thing leaned closer to him. Leah shot up from the couch, heart in her throat. She sprinted up the stairs and burst into the bedroom, flipping on the light. Max sat up groggily. Alone. There was nothing beside him. No one hiding in the corners. The closet was shut. The curtains still. No sign of anyone or anything else. She checked everywhere, under the bed, behind the dresser, even the hallway. Nothing. But when she looked back at Max, he was staring at her. Eyes wide. Pale. He whispered, "You saw her, didn't you?" Chapter 2, The Upstairs Door. The next night, Leah didn't want to come back. But Mrs. Jensen had called, sweet and exhausted, offering double the pay. "Max loves you," she'd said. "He won't sleep without you now." That last part sent a chill through Leah, not because it was flattering, but because it sounded rehearsed. Like something someone else had told her to say. Still, Leah needed the money. So she came back. The house felt different tonight. Not darker, quieter. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses into your ears like water, making your heart beat louder than it should. By 10 p.m., Max was in bed. He'd said very little, just one sentence as he climbed under the blanket. "She doesn't like the upstairs door." Leah frowned. "What door?" Max didn't answer. He just turned toward the wall. By midnight, Leah was back on the couch, trying not to watch the monitor. But every few minutes, she did. And every time, it was fine, just Max, sleeping. Until 12:41. The monitor flickered again. A quick burst. And then, the feed changed. Not Max's room. Another camera. It showed a hallway. Narrow. Old. Dusty floorboards and peeling wallpaper. Not a hallway she'd seen before in the Jensen home. At the end of the hallway was a single wooden door. And even through the screen, Leah felt it, something was behind it. She tried tapping the screen. The app wouldn't close. The image wouldn't change. Then, the doorknob began to turn. Slowly. Creaking in the silence. She stood up instinctively, unsure why. There was no such hallway upstairs, right? Just Max's room. A bathroom. The parents' room. Right? The monitor blinked. Max's room returned. Except Max was sitting up now. Looking directly into the camera. And behind him, on the far wall, was a door. An old, wooden one. Not the bedroom door. One that wasn't there before. Chapter 3, The Phone Call. The door didn't go away. It was still there the next morning, even when Max's parents returned. But somehow, they didn't seem to notice it. Leah had stood there in the bedroom, eyes locked on the strange old door now firmly embedded in the far wall, and neither of them even glanced at it. When she asked about it, Mrs. Jensen smiled politely. "What door, sweetheart?" It wasn't until Leah checked her phone later that things got worse. There was a missed call from an unknown number, timestamped 2:47 a.m. She hadn't heard it ring. But there was a voicemail. She listened. No voice. Just soft static. And behind it, breathing. Heavy. Slow. Wet. Then, a whisper. "You shouldn't have seen the door." She dropped the phone. Later that night, as she sat in her room replaying everything, her phone lit up again. Another call. Same number. Her hand shook as she answered. Hello. Silence. Then a child's voice, Max's, whispered. She's watching from the vent. Leah jerked her head toward the ceiling. The air vent cover above her bed was loose. And something moved behind it. Chapter 4, Under the Bed. Leah didn't sleep that night. After the phone call, after Max's voice whispered about the vent, she'd locked her bedroom door and stared at the ceiling for hours, waiting for the sun. But the morning brought no relief. That evening, Max's parents asked her to babysit again. She almost said no. Almost. But the money was good. And Max had begged her. So she came back. By 9 p.m., Max was tucked in, and the baby monitor was back on the table beside her. She watched cartoons on low volume, trying to pretend nothing strange had happened. At 9:17 p.m., Max's voice crackled through the monitor. Leah, she's in my room. She bolted up. The screen was dark at first, just grainy static. Then the camera flickered into focus. Max sat up in bed, pointing toward the floor. His lips moved. She leaned closer to the monitor. She's under the bed. Leah ran upstairs, heart hammering. The hallway stretched longer than before. The shadows seemed to pulse with breath. Max sat still in bed, pale, silent. She knelt down slowly. Lifted the blanket. And looked underneath. Nothing. Just darkness. But as she started to rise, something breathed in her ear. He's not Max. She turned to look at the boy on the bed. He was smiling. But his eyes weren't Max's anymore. Chapter 5, The Door Was Never Locked. Leah stayed awake, sitting cross-legged on her bed with the lights on, door locked, and her phone held tight in her hands. She had double-checked the front door. Bolted every window. Pulled the dresser in front of her bedroom entrance. She was done being afraid of the house. Done being afraid of Max. Done pretending nothing had happened. But at 2:47 a.m., her phone lit up again. One new voicemail. From her own number. She didn't press play. She just stared at it. Until something else caught her eye. The doorknob. It was turning. Slowly. Click, click. But the door was locked. She knew it was. She had tested it twice. The knob kept turning. Then stopped. Dead silence. And then. The door creaked open. Leah stared, frozen. She could see the dresser she'd shoved against it earlier, still perfectly in place. But the door had opened anyway. The air was cold now. Heavy. Something was inside. A whisper came from the hallway. You locked the wrong door. She ran for the window. But it wouldn't open. Not because it was locked. Because there was glass behind the glass. Like a mirror. And in the reflection. She was still sitting on her bed. But the other her was smiling. And something else stood behind her. Watching. Breathing. And it reached for her shoulder. From inside the reflection.